welcome to the cooking segment of Creative Corner. Today we are going to be roasting rotisserie style chicken. We're going to be doing it on the barbecue. Most people have a barbecue, so you can do this yourself. It's pretty simple. You need chicken. We've got 3. Why not utilize your barbecue? We got a nice big long spit. That's what they call this guy here. It's going into a rotisserie. It's going to go round and round and round. Do it. As it's cooking, we put a little salt on the outside, which we'll show you. The salt draws the moisture out of the chicken and it self-bastes itself. That's why rotisserie chicken is so good. So you got the spit. You're going to need at least 2 of these guys. These are like forks, adjustable forks that go onto the spit and grab your chicken and keep it spinning. So you need 2 of these per chicken. So I got 6 of these because we're doing 3 chickens. What we want to do right now, get the chickens on the spit. Do it. Start off with 1 fork facing the chicken. Tighten her up. Try and get it right to the edge. The reason being, you've got a lot of chicken to load on here. If you're only doing 1, you're going to put it central. But we have 3 chickens, so here we go. These guys are sharp. Don't cut yourself. Take your happy chicken right up the middle. Out she goes. Try and get this guy to sit right in, without piercing your fingers, right into the rear hind quarters there. It's going to hold on to. You're going to follow it with the next probe. Adjust it so that it's going to grab something. You don't want this thing flopping around. So we get it as close as we can, tighten it up. 1 down, 2 more to go. Okay, so if you've done this right, your chickens should look something like this on the spit. As you can see, a lot of the extremities are hanging around. You don't want these guys too far away from the chicken because they will cook prematurely and then they'll be hard as rock. So you want to keep them close. You want to tuck them in. So how are we going to do that? We're going to use stainless steel wire. You could use butcher's twine as well. Butcher's twine can handle high temperature, but we are going to use steel wire because I just happen to have some on hand. The easiest way to put the wire on is to have the chicken suspended already on the rotisserie, because then you can get underneath it. Let's go to the barbecue with our chicken, get the show on the road, because our guests are going to be here in about 2.5 hours, and if we don't get this chicken going, they're not going to be very happy. Okay, barbecue is preheating nicely. If you look at the dial here, there it is right there. Hard to do this backward. It's reading about 350. Not bad. 350, 3 1/4. A little cool out here. We've got the burner set. Have a look. See? All nice and low. We want to maintain a bake. This is what we're doing. We're going to bake the chicken 3 1/4, 350, so it takes its time. All's good. Got to make sure you get the racks out of the way inside because you need nice wide open space. So get rid of that bun warmer. Here's our rotisserie right there. Little guy just plugs right into the wall. Alright, here's what they look like now. You'll see them later, nice and brown. So, install into the rotisserie, like so. Just like that. So now as you can see, the extremities are hanging down. You don't want that because they will burn. Even though it's rotating, they will burn. So we have to get those extremities up. We need to wrap them up. Take some wire, there it is, or butcher's twine, wrap it around the chickens and knot it. Tuck the legs in. Simple, right? We'll cut the ends off in a sec. Actually, we'll do it now. Otherwise, I'll forget. Watch the sharp ends. Do it for the wings and the legs. Do that for all chickens. Plug in your rotisserie. Things will start to spin. You're watching these guys. If there is a heavy spot, they will do that. You will be going along and all of a sudden they'll do this. That's why you have something called a counterweight. Here's a counterweight. You can adjust that counterweight so that if there is a heavy spot with the chicken, it will offset. See that? Did you see that? We can offset that. Next step is to put some pans under the chicken. Why? Because chicken has a lot of fat in it. The fat will drip, and it will drip right onto your barbecue burner, and it will start a flame up. You don't want a flame up, so you're going to put pans underneath the chicken, and you're going to put water into those pans so that they don't dry out, because once the oil gets hot, it will start to smoke. You don't want to smoke your chickens, you're cooking your chicken. Put a pan like so. And like so. Let's get some water in those pans. You'll have to replenish the water from time to time because the water will evaporate, turning into steam, obviously. And once the pans boil dry, they'll smoke. So you got to come out here every once in a while to check on this thing. So what you got to do now is spice. You're going to use a salt-based spice in order for the salt to pull the juices from the center of the chicken out to the perimeter, and then they're going to roll around on the outside and self-baste the chicken. Let's get some spices. Okay, in order for the spice to stick to the chicken, you have to wet it a bit. I have an atomizer. It's a little spray thing. I use it only for food, and we're going to spray some water on the perimeter, the outside of the chicken. Okay. Bing, 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 bing. Spice it up the way you like. I'm going to put on Lowry seasoning salt. I'm going to put on some pepper, some garlic powder. You can put on chicken spice as well, if you had some. You see how this is nice? It's rotating while I'm putting the spices on. See? How does it get easier than that? I'll just keep running it back and forth. Spiced up, spiced nice. Now what we're going to do is just wait. And keep an eye on the pans, make sure there's enough water in there so they don't start to smoke. See how they're already starting to steam a little bit? That's normal. That's why you have to keep coming back and supplementing the water. Done. That temperature will come back up. Keep an eye on it. 3 1/4, 350, more or less. What else do you need to do? Set the clock. 4 o'clock right now. It'll be done probably somewhere around 6:30. We're going to make sure the internal temperature of poultry is up to at least about 180 Fahrenheit. So we'll stick a probe into the chicken a little later on. Do it! Hello, well this is something that everybody should know how to do. Maybe just to change your winter tires over, or what if you're on the side of the road, dark, cold, stormy night, you have no cell phone reception, you've got a blowout, you've got to change a wheel. Well, let's show you how to change a wheel. On your car, or your truck, SUV, whatever you're driving, it's not that hard, you can do it yourself. Sure, you could pay somebody, but let's say you can't because there's nobody to pay. So we're going to show you how to take this wheel off this car, put another wheel on this car, and make it safely to your destination, because you can do it yourself. Typically your tire is in your trunk, usually underneath a floor. Look at that, floor pulls up. Alright, that's really nice. So what you'll have is a jack set. This is a jack set. This is a jack. It's called a scissor jack. So when you're tightening a bolt, it squeezes two guys together and makes the car go up. There is something called a lug nut wrench. This goes onto your wheel nuts or lug nuts and helps you to remove them in order to change the wheel. Those are your basic tools. You may have a screwdriver in there or a flat surface which will help you to pry off your hubcap. If you have really expensive wheels, you may have locking hubcaps. You'll have to look into that. I'm going with generics. Before you pull the flat tire off of the car, make sure you have a tire that is not flat to put back on the car. A lot of people never check their spare tires, and over the course of time, tires lose their air pressure. So there's no use taking one flat off and putting another flat back on. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull the wheel out of your trunk and make sure you at least feels like there's some good pressure in it. We got the wheel out of the spare tire compartment, or the trunk typically. Wow, that's got some air pressure in it. If it didn't, it wouldn't bounce at all. So it feels pretty good. Hopefully you've been keeping track of all 5 tires for pressures. So this is a full-size spare. So in other words, it's about the same size as the wheels that came off. You can get idiot spares or emergency spares, which are about this wide, and they have restrictions to them as far as how much load and to the speed that you can go, usually about 80 kilometers an hour. Take your lug nut wrench. We're not loosening these off completely, we're just trying to crack them. Crack them means just break them. So, okay, did you hear that? That's tough. You may have to do this. Be careful, hold on to something tight, push pressure on it. See how I did that? I got to do that 5 times because there's 5 nuts. So, let's do it again. Don't try this in stilettos, it may hurt. Okay, so that was 5. Don't loosen them off any more than that. What you're going to do now, you're going to jack up the car. Those nuts will come out fairly easily now because you have cracked them. You didn't want to be doing that when the car was up in the air because it may fall off the jack, and that would really suck. So, let's get the car jacked up. Okay, so here's our jack. If you look in your manual, it will pretty well show you the area where you install it underneath the car. Usually on the outer lip there will be a reinforced area, probably with a notch out, but you're putting the jack underneath this lip and then you're rotating it. Car's up in the air, you're pulling your wheel nuts off, you have your spare wheel ready to go on. I can teach you how to change the wheel on your car, but I can't teach you common sense. Make sure you're doing this safely. You have 4-way flashers, put them on. Make sure you're pulled over to the side of the road far enough so that you're not in somebody's way. Get the wheel off. No time to check brakes right now. Get the new wheel on. That's it. Line up the bolts. What I like to do, put one nut all the way on right away. All the way. Just in case it decides to slip, fall, whatever. You're going to get all your nuts on. A light little snug. See, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on. We're not jumping on this handle right now. We're just making sure that the wheel is on, it's centered, it's where it needs to be. We're going to torque these guys after we've let the car back down. Nuts are on. Now, let's start putting the car back down. Car's coming back down. Jack's all the way down. Now you can torque your nuts because the car is more stable. It's not going anywhere. Jack's out of the way. Try and have some kind of cross pattern while you're doing this. So if you do here, go across from it. Go next door, go across from it. Go next door, go across from it. Okay? Feel that? See? Right to here, right to there. Next door to it, there, right to there, and right to there. If you don't have a lot of muscle, power, strength, sure, do this. Step on it. You don't want the wheel falling off. Somebody can always torque them for you later. But the idea is count to 5. You got 5 nuts, count to 5. There's 4. There's 5. That's it. So, wheel is on. If you want to put the trim cover on, the hubcap, usually they will always have one little notch out. That's where the valve goes. The valve where you put air in the tire. So line that up, like so. Couple little taps. Wheels on. Clean up your mess, put your tools away. You've done it yourself. You've changed the wheel at the side of the road. Now you can go to the party you were going to go to, or shopping, whatever. Have somebody follow up and just make sure that you've done everything correctly. Anyway, the spare tire is not something that should be on your car permanently. It's there as a spare. The other wheels that were on your car are designed to run together, so the spare may not have the same tread pattern. It's just saving your butt right now, getting you to a garage or back to your husband or maybe your wife who is going to know what to do. But you have just averted disaster on your way because you did it yourself. See you next time.
By now, you've heard about it. And by now, you've read about it. By now, you've probably seen one. And by now, you're no doubt asking yourself, if there's a trike like this, capable of doing tricks like that, then why don't I have one by now? The EcoCycle X1 Vector. It's time.
Hey, well, it's getting dark, but that's okay, we have lights out here. So, the chicken is done. We've got the thermometer in there.
Do it.
I got 190.5, so we're going to shut it off, let them sit for a while. But, basically done. And that took 2 hours and 15 minutes. See? You can do it yourself.